we are going to open the pages of the magazine to our community affairs segment. And joining me, of course, is Cody Engel. Cody is the author of the book Rampage on the River, and I'm excited to have him here with me on today. Cody, how are you?
I'm great, Denise. Hey, by the way, certification, that was fantastic. What a voice!
Oh, yeah.
What a voice! You're going to have to send me that link. I'm going to have to buy some of those MP3s or albums or whatever the kids are buying today, but she was fantastic.
I'm glad you enjoyed her. I know she's listening, and I know she's going to enjoy that. Let's talk a little bit about you, because you are astounding.
Well, I'm a little shy, so I don't know if I'm ready to talk about myself, but I will try. I will try.
Well, I'll talk about you, okay?
Okay.
Now, Cody, your book, Rampage on the River, it
Yes,
follows
ma'am.
some of the exploits of the 2nd Michigan Voluntary Cavalry during the American Civil War. What prompted you to write the book?
Well, Denise, I've always been in love with history. I mean, even as a little kid, I'd drive my dad crazy. He'd buy me like a racetrack, and I would use the slats as swords instead of playing with cards. I didn't care about sports. I didn't care about video games. I was all about history. And the Civil War is one of the various things I was interested in. And, I moved down here, and it's all over the place.
Mm-hmm.
And my girlfriend and I, we went to Shiloh, and I don't know if you've ever been there, but it is, it'll take your breath away.
Oh, wow.
I mean, 24,000 casualties. It's mind blowing. And I said to my girlfriend, like, you know what? I'm from Detroit. It's where I get this terrible Yankee accent from. I said, I want to see the Michigan Monument.
Yes.
Because we were, so we go out there and we see it, and I see this big granite or marble monument with the words Michigan on it, and I see this soldier standing tall, and I thought, man, we were here too.
Mm-hmm.
And I think so many people think the Civil War is I love Gone with the Wind and Cold Mountain, and everybody loves the Confederates because there's a certain kind of passion to this, the rebels. But we were there too, so I wanted to write a book about Michigan, about Detroiters like me. Now, one of my main characters is in the Confederacy, so we do a lot of from his point of view as well. But I wanted to write about our guys that were there too.
And I'm glad you did.
Thank you.
Because your book is a swashbuckling adventure set in the American Civil War, where love, honor, and friendship are tested in the madness and chaos of war. But Cody, I have a question for you here. Why do you think that American Civil War is still a controversial topic today?
It's funny, Denise. It's not where I'm from.
Really?
I grew up in Detroit, and I went to school. And other than seeing, like, Gone with the Wind, the Civil War was like, we had to learn about the Pilgrims, and then we had to do, like, the Revolutionary War, and George Washington, and then the Civil War, and Abraham Lincoln. And I grew up, there was no sense of, like, that we were, like, even on a side. It was just something I had to learn history. And it was, the first time I was in the Army, and the first time I came across this was, I was down in Georgia, for basic training, and I had a guy. He was a great guy. He was from the South. I think it was one of my first experiences with that. And he came up to me. He must have heard my terrible accent and thought he would, spark up a debate with me. He goes, you know what? The South should have won the war, and it wasn't about slavery. And I'm like, wait a minute, you're not joking, are you? And I didn't realize that for him, it wasn't just something that happened in history. It was something he was still living.
Oh, wow.
And I think what it is down here in the South, with all the battlefields, the scars are still visible here. And on two sides, if you're black, you carry this, like, I cannot believe that people once thought here it was okay to hold my relatives like they were livestock. Yeah.
Right.
And then at the same time, and I understand this, and I try not to be too hard on these people, but there's the lost cause. There are guys that say, my great-great-grandfather fought for the Confederacy, and I know he didn't fight for slavery. Nobody wants to say they fought for slavery. So I think there's a lot of raw emotions where it's still being fought down here emotionally.
And that's really sad. It touches your heart. Of course, I wasn't a part of it, but, our ancestors.
Yeah.
Cody,
Yeah.
and Rampage on the River brings to life the real battles of Fort Donelson, New Madrid, and Island Number 10. But can we talk a moment about Chapter 2, In the Army Now?
Sure. So first of all, I wrote this book for everybody. I wanted everybody to be able to enjoy it. You don't have to be a Civil War buff to enjoy this. You don't even have to be interested in history. So in chapter number 2, one of the main characters, and I have multiple. I have a main character who's in the Confederate Army. I have a runaway slave who's one of my main characters. But Carl is a reluctant soldier. He has to join or go to jail, which is kind of like most of the guys I served with when I was in the Army. And so chapter 2 is a lot about his training, kind of like what we would think of as basic training today. But for me, not only is it him, but it's for the reader as well, because we're going to talk about a lot of things. There's going to be like battles, sword fights, naval assaults in the book, and it's kind of basic training not only for the character but for the reader, so that you understand. We talk about the process of firing a musket. I mean, like in the 11th. I mean, can you imagine? Today we think about guns. You gotta blow a bunch of guys away, and you gotta like pour gunpowder, then ram a ball down there, and then put a primer on there. All the while, thousands of dudes with bayonets are coming at you. Man, I mean, that's
scary. It had to be.
And I wrote to that, and my characters are scared, and because it's a terrifying thing.
I'm sure it is, and it was, rather.
Yeah.
Cody, what would you have readers take away from Rampage on the River upon completion?
You know what? The number one thing to me is I want them to have a good time.
Okay.
I read a lot. I love to read, and I wrote it for people who may not necessarily be interested in history or are big readers. And I wrote it for, let's just be honest, a generation of people like myself who have probably seen more movies and TV shows than read books. And so when I read it, this is book 1, by the way, of a trilogy.
Okay, good.
And
I can't wait.
Thank you. And so the whole idea is that I wrote it like a Netflix series. If Netflix, if you're listening, I wrote it. Let me repeat that. I wrote it as a Netflix series. So each book is like a season of Netflix, and each chapter is like an episode. So I made sure that there's an overall story arc to the whole trilogy. And then each book has its own story arc, but then each chapter, and so people are used to taking in their narratives that way.
Yes.
And so I wanted to present it to them that way.
Well, I'm glad you did.
Thank you.
Audience, are you tired of being sucked into arguments with lost causers who claim the American Civil War wasn't about slavery? Well, here's Cody again, and he's the author of also the book, The American Civil War Was About Slavery. Tell us more about it.
Yeah, it's funny. When I was researching for Rampage on the River, I got pulled into a debate with some guy who wanted to tell me that the war was not about slavery, and they want to make up they want to say it's about states' rights. They want to say it was about tariffs. They even want to tell you, some will tell you that there were entire black regiments fighting for the Confederacy, that it was about slavery. It's poppycock. I guess I can't say the word that I want to say.
That's good enough.
And so, it's easily debunked. Every one of the states, and I will say this: the mid 19th century was, 19th century, 1800s. Was a different time, and they didn't invent slavery. They didn't invent racism. They were born into it. Both the blacks, the whites, and everybody in between.
Yes.
So it's hard to judge them, even though slavery has always been wrong. It's always been wrong, and it always will be wrong.
Absolutely.
But our country had been arguing over slavery since the 1820s, and some will say even before that. And it was when Abraham Lincoln, a known abolitionist, was elected to office, that the southern states started seceding, and they all wrote declarations of secession. This is kind of like the Declaration of Independence.
Okay.
And in every one of them, they say, our primary cause, our primary reason is for the preservation of African slavery. The Confederacy is built on that. And I'd like to say this also. Man, I love the South. I do.
Oh, yes.
I'm a fiddle player. I cook Southern food. But the Confederacy does not represent the South. And neither does slavery. And the thing is, I think people forget this. The South is not white slave owners. In fact, if you think about it, even during that time, that was just a very small part. The culture that many white people celebrate and call Southern was not happening in the mansions. It was happening in the slave quarters. a lot of that Southern food is because all those masters had black chefs.
Absolutely, it's
If you
going
could
on
afford-
today.
You know, absolutely. You know, it's funny because my girlfriend, she goes, "Oh, I mean, you gotta try Southern food or soul." Yeah, she calls it Southern
Soul
food.
food, Southern
And
food,
and
yeah.
so I tried. I'm like, "Whoa, wait a minute. Well, we got this in Detroit. We just call it soul food."
Okay,
Right?
yeah.
Right?
yeah, I
But
see
like
what
you
you're
know, the
saying.
banjo, I play old time music. That's an African instrument. You know,
Mm-hmm.
so you can be proud about being from the South, man, and you can even be proud about your great grandfather. Really believe that he was fighting for his homeland from an
Yes.
invading Yankee army. I
Yes.
get that,
Mm-hmm.
but ultimately, all roads lead to slavery. If no slavery, then no war.
In Cody's book, in 1619, the first known Africans in North America arrive in Jamestown, Virginia. Now they are considered indentured servants. This practice will evolve into outright slavery. Check this out. By the end of the century, everyone, Cody Engdahl, he's the author of the book, The American Civil War was about slavery. Also, Rampage on the River. Cody, how can my listeners engage with you, follow you on social media, and stay in the know?
Man, I'm like a 14-year-old girl on social media. All you have to do is be able to spell my name, and I will tell you it's a complicated name because it's Swedish, so no one ever pronounces it or spells it right. But my name is Cody C. Engdahl, and it's C-O-D-Y, middle initial C. That's important, and the last name is E-N-G. D as in David, A-H-L. There's like 3 Cody Engdahls that I know of. 3.
Really?
One I'm actually Facebook friends with. He lives in Oklahoma, and there's another kid with the same name. But I'm Cody C. Engdahl. You'll see a picture of me with my fiddle and my girlfriend, and I'm all over. So I'm all over Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, Twitter. I have a YouTube channel, and I also I have a blog.
Oh,
WordPress
okay.
blog.
Okay.
And hey, by the way, friend me, man. If you're listening to this right now, you're like, hey, this guy's all right. Friend me, because as long as your profile picture doesn't make you look like a porn star, I will accept it, man. Because I'm always, I'm putting up like, here's where I'm playing because I'm a fiddle player, and here's the news. We're coming up with the next book. So.
And Cody is so down to earth, everybody. How I met him, of course, social media, Facebook Live. I saw him and I just tuned in to his channel, and he was talking about his books, and I said, you know what? I got to have you on my show. This is a wealth
Great
of knowledge.
honor, Denise. You should ask my girlfriend. I was over the moon. I was doing backflips.
I was too, Cody, because I'm interested. This guy really knows what he's talking about. Again, Rampage on the River and the American Civil War was about slavery. Cody, thank you. It's been wonderful.
Thanks, Denise. Both of those are on Amazon, by the way. The novel you can get, The Lotes House in Franklin, and if you see me around, I usually have a box full of novels in the back of my 15-year-old car.
I've got them right here with me. I've got them right here, everybody. Cody, you got to come back and play that fiddle for me. Okay?
I'd love to. We'll do some. I'm a big jazz fan.
Oh, wow.
We'll do some couple jazz tunes for you.
Okay, I'm going to have him back very soon, and I know my listeners would love to hear that. So we'll talk, Cody. Again, Cody Engdahl, right?
Yeah.
Rampage on the River, and of course, the American Civil War was about slavery. He was my guest today during the Community Affairs segment. Cody, thank you so much.
Thanks, Denise.
All right, we'll be right back with you, everybody.